So on 26th of November at Goodison Park, Alejandro Garnacho of Manchester United scored a stunning bicycle kick in the 3rd minute, and I think which many regard to be one of the greatest Premier League goals of all time. I'm Dave Kitchie, sports writer at The Sun, and we're going to talk about whether it in fact was the greatest of the 32,000 or so goals that have been scored in this competition. I think before I answer that, I have a caveat here that says that it's very subjective. There have been 32,000 goals scored in the competition, that you can like all different kinds of goals. I think a belting strike probably does it for me more, but they're both wonderful things in themselves. The best goal I've seen live anywhere was in the Champions League final of 2017. Mario Mandzukic for Juventus. The game they actually lost 4-1 against Real Madrid. And that combines the team goal with the great individual strike. Some of the iconic and famous ones, I'd have Thierry Henry's goal for Arsenal against Manchester United again, and that was the fixture in the Premier League calendar then. Henry on the turn sort of flicks it up for himself and scores that brilliant goal at Highbury. I think Dennis Bergkamp, a couple of goals. I think the Newcastle one and against Leicester as well, where he totally skins defenders. It's a much more subtle kind of goal, but beautiful. What a graceful, wonderful player he was, Bergkamp. Paul Scholes' belting volley against Bradford, and when a corner was cleared straight into his path outside of the area. The one goal that I have nominated high in my list was the best goal I've seen live. Was a more obscure goal by a more obscure player called Patim Kasami, who was a Swiss winger for Fulham against Crystal Palace away 2013. And Kasami sort of controls the ball in his chest with his back to goal, swivels, hooks it in, a bit like Van Basten's goal in the 1988 Euros final, an impossible angle. It flies into the far corner of the net. Stunning goal. And when you see those sort of goals live, the entire ground basically swears out loud, wonder if their eyes are deceiving them. It's an extraordinary moment when that happens. And, obviously Garnacho is very much up there with that. People were talking about Olise on the day before, Olise Crystal Palace at Luton, the very day before Garnacho's goal, being a goal of a season contender. But it certainly wasn't even the goal of the weekend, because Garnacho certainly had that sewn up. And people will struggle to see that better than the Premier League this season or for several seasons to come. I was in the ground that day, 2011, the Manchester derby, stunning goal. I think United won it 2-1, decisive goal basically. There wasn't that element of having to backpedal to meet it. It made it even more technically difficult. If I'm going to compare that to Garnacho's goal, there wasn't quite that element of it. Everyone always says Rooney shinned it, which I think he did, technically speaking, but it was a stunning goal, in a massive match, a very important goal. A brilliant goal by a man who wasn't just a great goal scorer, but a scorer of great goals. I think he won the BBC Match of the Day goal of the season competition 3 times, Rooney, actually. He scored some absolute belters, as well as just, he wasn't one of these guys who just scored hundreds of poachers' goals. So, Rooney's is in my top 10 as well. So, but I think general acceptance is that Garnacho's was even better as a like-for-like bicycle kick. Personally, a brilliantly executed bicycle kick from some range, about 16 yards out, when Garnacho's had to backpedal to get to the flight of the cross from Dalot, the way it crashes into the goal, the context of it being in the 3rd minute of this uniquely hostile atmosphere at Goodison Park, straight after Everton had become the first Premier League club to have 10 points deducted. I think all those things, to me, when I'm trying to work it out, in the cold light of day, I think if I had to choose a number one, I think I couldn't find anything to get past it. Before that, I'd have gone for Di Canio's amazing volley to West Ham against Wimbledon 23 years ago now. But I think Garnacho is probably even better than that. He scored a few good goals for them. They expect a hell of a lot of him. I don't think they think he's even living up fully to his potential yet. But Bruno Fernandes in his post-match interview was, in a friendly sort of way, quite cutting about how they expect so much of him and they're going to keep driving him on. There's an element of that with Garnacho. He's a great talent. Whether or not he has temperament to become a great player, rather than just someone who's going to be remembered for scoring such a great goal, time will tell. But I think there's every chance he will develop into a real world-class talent.